is warehouse native just a feature, or is it a fundamental rethinking of how we build Martech?
From the point of view of the user, the end user, it is not really a new category. They are enabled to do the same type of analytics as they
Right.
would do in the traditional third-party analytics tools. But from point of like the people or the team that builds these like marketing infrastructure,
Hmm.
essentially data infrastructure, for them it's a completely new approach.
Right.
It's a completely new category as well.
What's up, everyone? Today we have the pleasure of sitting down with István Mészáros, founder and CEO of Mitsu.io. István started his career as a software developer at CERN, the largest particle physics lab in the world. He also led data analytics and engineering teams at Skyscanner and later Shaper 3D. And today he's building a warehouse native product and marketing analytics platform. In this episode, we explore merging web and product analytics with a zero copy architecture, feature or new category, what warehouse native really means for marketers, how decoupling storage and compute lowers analytics costs, how seat-based pricing works in warehouse native analytics, and what a data warehouse does that your CRM never will. All that and a bunch more stuff after a super quick word from one of our awesome partners. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Knack. I have the amazing pleasure of chatting with some of the greatest minds in marketing operations, but you'd be shocked at how many of them have the same issues when it comes to their campaign creation process. They're dealing with things like scaling, personalization, keeping assets on brand, render testing emails, working in rigid templates, and worst of all, having to hand code emails. But many of the leaders in the space are using Knack to eliminate these headaches. Knack is a no-code email and landing page creation platform that covers initial campaign requests right until the sync to your marketing automation platform. Knack improves the whole campaign creation process by bringing the building, optimization, testing, collaboration, and also translation functions all in a single spot. So you don't have to jump around and coordinate feedback between a bunch of different people or wait on developers for very simple edits. Because at the end of the day, marketing ops folks want to focus on process and efficiency. Marketers want to focus on creativity, and Knack makes sure you get both and then some. Check them out at knack.com. That's KNAK, and tell them we sent you. István, thank you so much for your time today. I'm really excited to chat.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Where are you calling in from today?
That's Budapest, Hungary, from Europe.
Very cool. Yeah. Most of the time, a lot of folks are calling in from Bay Area or like West Coast, and usually my co-host can join us because it's early morning for his time. Right now, it's like 6 a.m. for him. He's got a young newborn, so wasn't able to make it for this episode. But I'm pumped to chat with you. I first discovered you when we had the folks from Castle.io on the show a couple of years ago now. And Arun introduced me to Warehouse Native Marketing Analytics as well. And we talked a lot about Warehouse Native Martech on the show. A lot of the discussions have been around CDPs and composability. For the folks that are unfamiliar with the term Warehouse Native in the context of marketing analytics, how would you explain Warehouse Native Analytics to the marketing operations folks that are listening?
All right, it's a big topic. Definitely. I would say it's compared to like traditional marketing analytics tools, the main difference with the warehouse native approach is that the data that you're using for is owned by you in your centralized data warehouse or data lake, inside your company, and basically this is like the technological difference that is basically covered by the term warehouse native. Um, it's hard to explain like in layman terms, but the biggest difference is in the technology.
Gotcha. Wait, so
Yeah.
most of the folks listening are a bit more on the technical side. Like they support marketers, they support sales teams. We do have a lot of data engineers, a couple of data professionals that do listen. So I don't think you're gonna scare too many folks off by like talking a bit more technical terms here. But like a lot of folks are used to Google Analytics
Yeah.
and Amplitude and Mixpanel and having all of those tools be an extra tool in the stack that stores an extra set of users. You have to figure out user IDs there. You have to stitch different devices together from different browsers.
Yes.
You're doing this a lot differently from like a billing standpoint, but also just like building on top of the warehouse where the data team
Yes.
is doing a lot of that work already, right? Like unpack that a bit.
Exactly. So if you think about how like a typical company, let's focus on like B2C company, does analyze data in let's imagine like a startup, maybe 50 people. What they would do is collect all the data to these various tools they use for marketing, maybe messaging, maybe analytics, maybe all kind of like deal and customer success as well. In the warehouse native space, it's a bit different. What you do is centralize first everything into the data warehouse. You can use Snowflake, Databricks, BigQuery, all whatever you can imagine. All there is like maybe 10, 15 cloud data warehouse types currently out in the market. All of them are mature, all of them are very, very easy to start. But anyway, you first centralize your data and you do most of the thing in the data warehouse for all the things that you can do for marketing essentially. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so the first time I heard about Mitsu, or what's the best way to pronounce that? Mitsu?
That's Mitsu, yes. Mitsu.
Mitsu. Yeah, it was I think like self-service BI, right? Like you guys were launching on Product Hunt, made a lot of splash about the announcements, and yeah, self-service BI for SaaS. And maybe we can riff on this a little bit here. Folks might be curious about the differing opinions and philosophies on like what is the overlap of BI, business intelligence,
Yes.
with analytics and measurement, and there's like a different layer of attribution on top of that too.
Yes.
The way I've thought about this and unpacked as poke holes on this here, but like this is the kind of like hierarchy that I see it. Like the base layer is measurement. We're collecting raw data for analysis, and then the layer on top of that is like the processing layer. So we have analytics there. Analytics is kind of a loose way of defining it as like examining data, finding patterns and insights within the raw data that you collected. And then anything on top of that is like you have your decision layer, which could be like BI, you're putting data visualization on top of that. It's got a lot of different business reports. But then you could have like specialized applications like attribution, you could have ML prediction. Is that kind of fair? Is that how you see it? What's the difference between BI and analytics for you?
It is roughly the way I see it as well. I think you described it very well. In my head, it's like the capture layer. Exactly, you move the data to some place. In our case, it's the warehouse native, so you move it into the data warehouse. Analytics and BI, definitely there is a difference. In my head, BI is mostly static dashboards that somebody, a data expert, created, and it is like it is proven to be the fact about the business. You shouldn't touch it. Nobody should touch it. Everyone just read it. If there is a problem, contact me. I will fix it. In the analytics space, I would separate it into two categories. Analytics done by data specialists and analytics done by non-data specialists. And the self-service BI, what we used to call ourselves, was essentially focusing on the analytics by non-data specialists.
Right.
So you don't have to be a data expert, data analyst, data engineer to create insights from your data. We called it BI, business intelligence, because we thought it would resonate more than analytics as a word. But to be fair, since then we changed our value proposition, our H1 on our website. We became product and marketing analytics, a tool for large data sets. Which is actually the product itself didn't change a lot, but this is what we've seen from the market. This is the biggest use case for self-service analytics, that people do product and marketing analytics with our tool essentially.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
When you say marketing analytics, most folks will immediately think of Google Analytics, GA4. And I feel like that's changing a little bit because a lot of folks are trying to find ways to move off of GA4. But when you mention product analytics, a lot of folks are familiar with the mixed panels and the amplitudes of the world. You're kind of like calling both of them together, marketing and product analytics. And I find that interesting because we, at my last couple startups, and I've seen this with some clients too, part of the journey of getting off of GA is really asking yourself, like, do we need a tool to track what our users are doing in the product and what our users are doing on the site? Like, these are just two different devices. Could we just have one platform that does both of those things?
Yes.
And so I've seen a lot of companies use Mixpanel and Amplitude for both web events and product events. Is that kind of how you're seeing it? You're just building and bridging product and marketing for one tool to do analytics?
Yes, yes, exactly. So I believe there is in like certain industries or certain segment of companies that for them essentially the two things are almost the same.
Yeah.
Um, Typically imagine like travel, e-commerce, advertising businesses, where you actually have a huge volume of visitors or users, you name it. They come into their application and they basically exit in some funnel, but they maybe come in later again, well, half a year later. But what's your goal as a company is to maximize the number of visitors to this application you're having. Um, let's focus on like travel industry, like imagine kayak, search engine or Google Flights. Um, the goal of these applications is to find as many users as possible, visitors that come to the application and search for flights and book through kayak, Google Search and Google Flights through the application. But itself, these applications, kayak and let's say Google Flight Search is a product that has to work very well. The funnels has to be like maximized to the best conversion rates. There shouldn't be a drop off in any of these steps. If there is a drop off in like one of the steps when you buy like book a ticket, then there is a problem and you are losing customers. On the other hand, the marketing side is like you maximize the number of visitors. That's the marketing problem, like to bring it to the application. So top of the funnel, basically, you want to maximize the number of visitors top of the funnel, but they also should go through the application efficiently and exit positively, essentially. So in my head, this is the product and marketing problem is one thing for certain industries.
Right. Yeah, in the B2B world where it's like heavy sales, inbound motion, then you also have a CRM at play there, but still maybe the product is still being used. Like a lot of the times it's a SaaS tool and you still want to connect and stitch that data together, especially from an activation standpoint, like the marketing automation team or the lifecycle team that's trying to like kick off onboarding campaigns or do something with product data, matching that with where they came in and stuff. Like it just makes a ton of sense to have event-based analytics for web and product just being one tool together.
Yeah.
But you're doing this a bit differently too on top of the warehouse. So instead of like having a database that's copying all the users that you probably already have in the CRM, you already have in the marketing automation platform, and you already have in your CDP or in your data warehouse, you're basically not creating a new copy of that database. You are just living on top of the warehouse instance where you said data lakes also, and you're just querying that data. Does that make sense? Do I have that right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So essentially, what we do is automatically generating SQL queries on top of existing infrastructure. Then those SQL queries are the typical, if you think of like segmentation, if you are familiar with Amplitude, funnels, journey, retention calculations, A/B testing, evaluation. So this is what we do, but with automated SQL queries. And to be fair, why we started to do this is we've seen that after a certain stage in any business, essentially, you reach a point when you need to centralize your data anyway. You need to have all your data anyway in a central location. And as I mentioned, we are working mostly for large data sets and product and marketing analytics. This kind of really makes sense not to copy that large data set away to 2 or 3 places. You mentioned Castle.io with Arun. I assume they had the same feeling, and when you talked, that was probably the same problem they are solving. Why are you moving all this data that you already have in your data warehouse to different tools, synchronizing between different tools, and essentially just like this in my world, it is kind of a waste, and often actually impossible. This is what we as well see.
Yeah,
that at some point you reach a scale that your data becomes so large, the volume of data becomes so large that you cannot move it away.
Yeah, when I first heard about like warehouse native or Martech solutions, it was really exciting from a pricing standpoint also, as well as like just like connecting and integrating data. And there's a lot of excitement in marketing automation, customer engagement space, like we talked about Castle.io. But I wanted to ask you about like category versus feature. Like, is warehouse native just a feature, Or is it just like a fundamental rethinking of how we build Martech? Because we're already seeing this today. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of CDPs who caught up to the composability movement and we're just like, oh shit, instead of copying all that data, let's actually connect to warehouses. And you saw all the CDPs have like warehouse connectors.
Yes.
And so they're kind of like hybrid models now. And you're seeing a lot of customer engagement platforms. One of the sponsors of the podcast is MoEngage, and MoEngage just
Yeah.
recently rolled out warehouse native on their customer engagement platform. And so if you're on Snowflake or you use a data
Yes.
warehouse, you don't have to copy all that data, figure out a
Exactly.
way to like send it to MoEngage. They can sit on top of your data
Yeah.
warehouse there. So what are your thoughts there? Like, is this like a brand new category? We're redefining how we're building Martech, or is it kind of a feature that a lot of tools in the next couple of years are just going to have warehouse connectors?
Yes, it's a great question. Thank you. It's how I see this. From the point of view of the user, the end user, it is not really a new category. They are enabled to do the same type of analytics as they
Right.
would do in the traditional third-party analytics tools. But from point of like the people or the team that builds these like marketing infrastructure,
Hmm.
essentially data infrastructure, for them it's a completely new approach.
Right.
It's a completely new category as well. I have to admit that it's pretty hard to companies to switch to a warehouse data approach. It takes a lot of time. Getting started with one is much easier, obviously.
Hmm.
Especially you mentioned CDPs, and now they are out of the box doing the warehouse ingestion. So if you have that in your organization immediately, connecting to a warehouse native customer engagement software or like an analytics software like ours, it is essentially a couple of minutes only. So it's very easy to get started. To get off of these third-party tools, it's a different challenge. It's
Hmm.
yeah, it's we see struggling in there, but yeah, we see also more and more companies coming out of these older, let's say, like not I won't call them older. It's like the traditional approach.
Right.
You know. So just to summarize your question, if you think of the team that builds the system, for them it's a new category. If you think of the end user, it is enabling them to do the same thing. So for them is not I wouldn't even say it's a feature. It's completely transparent. That
Hmm.
should be completely transparent.
Yeah. So what about like the folks in the middle there? So a lot of the marketing technologists aren't the end users. They're not the ones that are going to be using the marketing analytics tools or sending emails in the customer engagement platform. And they're not the data professionals that are building that stuff in the data
Mhm.
warehouse, but they're sitting between both teams and they're the ones translating requirements. And the folks that
Yes.
see this as a brand new category and they're really excited about it, those are the folks that are really technical, but they don't necessarily always get the marketing applications and the use cases. And I feel
Yeah.
like the marketing operations, marketing technology folks are in an interesting spot with this transition to warehouse native because we can do that translation. We can translate why the data folks are excited about this and translate that into like why marketers should care about this because oftentimes the CMO is going to have like an impact on whether we're like moving to a new tool that does warehouse native. Why should the marketers care about warehouse
Yes.
native? So for the marketing ops folks that are sitting in that middle and have that opportunity to like translate those things, why should we care about it? What are the
Yes.
biggest moments of like aha that you've seen
Yes.
folks implement Mitsu that you're just like, this is what I need to tell marketing ops folks about the power of warehouse native?
Yes. Yes. That's a great question. Definitely, there is some element. What we feel from customers, we hear back from customers. The actually coming back to the feature versus category, this is maybe a feature. What I will just describe. So in traditional tools, you might get problems with data accuracy. So meaning that you sent your data there, it's forgotten. Basically, you're unable to fix it. If there was an outage or something, or like you made a mistake with tracking or capturing the data, it's there, it's done. You're done. You have to annotate the chart. There was an issue.
Yeah.
And what this technology enables is kind of the full control over the data. Essentially, you can model it, you can transform it, you can clean it much better. Plus, if you see a product and marketing analytics chart, let's say a funnel or like a journey chart, it's going to align with the charts that you see in your BI tools in Power BI Tableau in the all hands meeting, what is presented by, let's say, the CEO in a company. So what we got often is like, finally, this is the moment. Finally, I don't see this huge drop off in the chart. because we were missing some data. Now we're getting a data warehouse, and it is basically, we are seeing the same data as what we expect actually. So that's a great value that it brings for, like the marketing folks. So they have this trust. Essentially, the trust is increased in these data tools.
Very cool. I think the aligning with BI and the rest of the company, like in the all hands meetings, is a really easy one to grasp for marketers. The one that's kind of new to me that you called out there is like owning and controlling that data. So like marketers are very familiar with this issue of just like, oh my God, we got a huge spike in traffic. We're excited, we're pumped, we dig in and figure out, and it's like, oh shit, it was bots, bot traffic, like,
Exactly.
and like we need to annotate that thing every time we show it. Like everyone gets excited. What was that spike? All like that. The annotation says it was a bot, and we see this in email land also. There's a lot of like enterprise email clients who will just like mark every email as open, and like you see a huge spike in engagement, and it was all fake, and so that's really powerful there, because like a lot of the times I've gotten those tickets on the marketing ops team from the marketers saying like, okay, it was bot traffic. How do we like fix that? How do we just remove it from the dashboard so it doesn't affect all of our average metrics? Because our average opener rate now is completely inflated because of that one little thing. So you're saying because we get to control that data because it's on the warehouse, we can make those tweaks, and the annotation isn't static. It actually lives in the data, and it doesn't affect like future reports.
Exactly. One more thing I would like to highlight here is that the end-to-end traceability of why we see a number on a chart is possible with this type of technology. For example, if we just present the SQL query that we generate. You can copy paste it. Actually, you can copy paste your BI tool if you want to have it in your static dashboards. The same query, you can create the same chart in the BI tool, that just the same as what we built or what we show. And this end-to-end traceability is the one that is making it not a black box anymore. It's an open closet. Essentially, you can look into it, how the things work. You can see the joins if we use joins. You can see all the other things that we do in the SQL. And data analysts, like marketing ops people, can review it line by line. And often our customer calls, we do it. We do review line by line. We follow a query. Why things happen? How do we calculate conversion rate? How do we calculate time to convert metrics? All sorts of things like that we can like review and talk about it. And they might have like a different opinion about like how to calculate retention, for example. But again, that's a good discussion to have, because now we can finally actually talk about this.
Very cool. Yeah, it could lead to finally folks having the same data dictionary and the same metrics dictionaries. Yeah. So like one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is like one of the prerequisites for doing warehouse native, or even thinking about going warehouse native, is obviously having a data warehouse in place, or a data lake. For a lot of orgs, marketing teams especially, this is still pretty new. Like, but a lot of folks would argue that data warehouses, for some companies that are leading in this space, a lot of companies are on the tech side. For a lot of folks, data warehouses are actually old. Like they're not new tech, but they're more excited about the data lake side, the data mesh side, data fabric, semantic layer, real-time data, the platforms. Can you help us like bring clarity to the data management space? I know you're really deep in there. So like what advice would you give to marketers there that are just like waking up to the data warehouse, but we're talking about like what's next already? Like, is the data warehouse kind of dated already? What's the difference between a data lake? What are your thoughts there, Stefan?
Oh yeah, that's a good question as well. Like a data warehouse, how I grew up, how I like as a professional, a data warehouse was already a new thing. If you imagine like the old ones, actually I don't even know the names and the brands who were like before in the years of like 2000 or something like that. Those years there was data warehouses, like Oracle maybe had one, and I don't know honestly. There was like Hadoop. Oh my god, that was like the first data lake trial, I would say, from Google, and I think it was Google. Yeah. Anyway, now I would say how I see it, everything is a data lake, kind of. And but we still call them sometimes data warehouse, because that's something that you can tell to others and they will understand that's a lot of data there. Just a slide note here, like compared to a database, if you tell somebody a database, what's a database? It's like an operational thing. You keep your, like, I don't know, subscriptions there, or like I don't know, some operational stuff about the application that you're building. In a data lake, data warehouse, you collect data and you forget about it. You don't modify that often. Maybe if you fix the issues, yes, then you modify, but it's mostly like exact only. For in my head, essentially everything is a data lake. And what's the difference between the data warehouse and the data lake? Data lake storage of it is completely decoupled from computation.
Hmm.
And what does this enable is that you can collect your data virtually for free into a storage layer. When you want to compute, let's say a funnel or like a journey chart or something, then you spin up a cluster that will read the data directly from the storage layer, compute the computation, essentially measure like conversion rate, shut down and show you the result essentially, or basically show you the result and then shut down.
Hmm.
And this is hugely cost effective because the storage is where you have the biggest problem. Like, you collect all these billions of events monthly, you store them essentially virtually for free, I would say, compared to like, how much a classical data warehouse would cost. Like imagine classical data warehouses would run all the time just to have the ingestion possible. When you were ingesting data to a data warehouse originally, you had to have the cluster spinning all the time. So there was a revolution when you had like auto scaling enabled, so you could scale it down and it was only ingestion and was not computation. For high computations, you needed to scale it up, the cluster. But now you basically scale down to zero as the computation, and you just store the data. And essentially, you can live, like for example, we have customers that they have billions of rows, but they maybe run a single chart, like single computation once per week. And for them, this really makes sense because like they don't need to pay essentially nothing for the storage and the computation, which is expensive. That is like once a week, and they don't care about it.
This episode is brought to you by Revenue Hero. You've invested thousands in your marketing funnel, targeted the right ICP, spent weeks A/B testing, and optimized for conversion at every step. Finally, a high-intent prospect fills out your demo form, and then nothing. Your nurtured lead sits in a queue while you chase them with, "How's Thursday at 2 p.m.? Meanwhile, your competitor is already on a discovery call. That's not just frustrating, that's revenue walking away. With Revenue Hero, you can qualify, route, and book leads with the right rep, so your team can start real conversations right away. For the ops folks listening, Revenue Hero syncs meeting data to your CRM, auto-credits no-shows, recalibrates when reps go on vacation, and has a ton of smart features you won't find anywhere else. If you're spending to drive demand, don't lose it at the last mile. Visit revenuehero.io/demo today.
This episode is brought to you by MoEngage and their new warehouse native CEP, which revolutionizes the way data should be seamlessly fetched, analyzed, and activated. Now you can use MoEngage Cloud Data Sync to sync your warehouse data with MoEngage and use it to segment audiences or personalize messages without any development. Just set and forget. Use MoEngage warehouse segments to create segments on your warehouse data without moving underlying events, properties, or proprietary segmentation logic, and activate them directly on MoEngage. Using warehouse data analytics, brands can also directly generate insights from their warehouse data. Your long search solution for seamless data sync, smarter segmentation, dynamic personalization, and delightful customer experiences ends here. Warehouse native CEP from MoEngage, making it easy, smart, and secure. Learn more at moengage.com. One of the questions I have in my head is like, we're obviously big supporters of the Composable movement on the show. Like Census was a sponsor for a long time. We did this like deep dive on package CDP versus Composable CDP. But the composability route isn't the best solution for everyone. Like traditional platforms are totally fine for some situations. Plenty of companies have invested heavily in CDPs and in traditional BI, and they're doing okay. Do you disagree that like do you think these investments in traditional BI and CDPs were misguided, and the fact that they're doing okay isn't a reflection of like their decisions were the right ones? Is there a path to integration there? Like, what are your thoughts?
I believe that the current technologies, the current CDPs and like say even product analytics, having their own storage layer inbuilt, it totally makes sense for the majority of the companies, essentially. I believe in what I see, it is probably less and less. Let's say that like the companies that should switch to a warehouse native approach are more and more of these. We see more and more of these,
Okay.
I believe. One, because there's much more data now than, let's say, 2 years ago. And this data lake and all these approaches, like, I think it makes it possible to run a company from the get-go on top of the like data lake. But I think it's like these traditional approaches are very good when you like in the early stage, and you
Okay.
can like keep it running. You don't need to hire a person. Like that's true for this warehouse native and this warehouse approach is that you will need to have at least one person in the team that knows what he's doing.
Yeah. The one person data
One
team.
person. And in fact, it's interesting. Like I would say most of our customers is like have a very, very small data team.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Very
if
interesting.
we have some that doesn't have any data team, like 0 people, essentially the data, they run like BigQuery. We help
Yeah.
them, basically we give them advice what to do.
Okay.
It's not a consultancy what we do, but like we just send them like a Slack message on like a Slack connect that this is what you should do. And basically they are enabled just by that. So it's
Okay.
like a backend engineer takes care of the data warehousing. But definitely you need an expert. And I would say it's hard to come by a good expert that can understand the platform problem, the data analytics problem, marketing use cases, product use cases, all the other use cases, and build a single thing which can support all these use cases.
Mhm.
But there are these folks out in the wild. Yep.
Yeah. The technical data unicorns, I guess a lot of folks
Yes.
call them. What do you
Yes.
think are like the characteristics of companies where maybe folks are working at some of these companies right now listening? What are the characteristics that you would point out that you would say you guys are good candidates to explore warehouse native? Because you said a lot of companies early on, for a lot of traditional companies, like traditional tools are fine. They don't need to go warehouse native, but
Yes.
you obviously growing. There's hunger in this space for this kind of data management. What are the characteristics that jump out to you?
This is a great question because it's our go-to-market strategy.
Yeah. Product market fit question.
Exactly. I have to be honest, like it is hard to find like a common like a segment of companies where this like really makes sense. We have identified like a few like typically e-commerce, travel, and all these companies in those segments, like like media, entertainment, gaming. Just because the sheer volume of data is big,
Right.
for in my head it makes sense to go for this approach. But on the other hand, they really have quite some inbound leads that are not coming from these segments. And what I've found there is typically they have one or two or small data teams, maybe 1 or 2 data engineers or a small data team. But they are kind of enthusiastic about this. So I would say, if you are listening to the podcast and if you knew about this solution, you might be, like you're aware of this. You are already a good candidate to try it out. While what we have very like the big struggle is to evangelize this, educate people about this. It's an uphill battle. To tell, like, if I go out and talk to companies and like you should switch to this solution because it just makes more sense for you. It's very hard to tell them why. It's maybe they understand why, but it's like the cost of change is huge, obviously.
Yes. Yeah. Cost of change for anyone in the audience who like manages Martech solutions and has like a decent integration in place and they're all talking to each other. A salesperson hitting them up outbound and saying like, "Hey, do you want a new analytics platform?" It's like,
Yes.
Get out of here,
Get
buddy.
out, exactly.
We got 75 things on our list,
Yes.
but one of the I guess benefits that resonated with me the most as someone who owned the marketing technology budget for different companies is the cost savings angle to this. If you're a company that has a data warehouse already and you've got 1 or 2 data engineers that are building and managing that warehouse and they own the data strategy, like why not? Why wouldn't you explore this? Because it comes with a lot of cost savings. Like this whole idea of copying data to other systems And
Yep.
like customer engagement tools, CDPs, they all charge by number of events. They all charge by number of users in the database. Talk to us about like the pricing for Mitsu and like how that is different from the amplitudes and the mix panels that are
Yes.
all charging by like raw number of events, number of users in there. Because I feel like that's one of the differentiating factors, right?
Yes. Yes. Oh my God, this is a huge topic. I love it actually. It's interesting. Like in one, like let's talk first about the traditional approach. You mostly pay by the volume of data you send over. It's sometimes based on number of unique users, like or checked users, MTUs. Or like in case of other solutions, you pay the number of events, what you send to these tools, monthly track the events. For us, it is seed based because we don't know any of your data. We don't store any of your data. We are basically a BI tool, essentially. You can think about it like it's a BI tool. Just it is self-service. So we cannot even charge for the value of the data you store in your own cloud, in your own data lake. It would be, I mean, some of the competitors, they do say that they charge based on the number of users you store in their own data warehouse. I find it a bit, I don't know, counterintuitive or like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, I get the business point of view. Why does it make sense? But on the other hand, I think this is all for ourselves. The seed-based pricing is also a bit of an advantage because it just, for some companies, this makes much more sense. So I have like these 15 people in product and marketing, but they want to use the application, but I have like monthly 10 billion events. If I would send that out to a third-party solution, it would cost me monthly maybe $500,000. It's like there is numbers like this in this space. Like if you have all your data out, you cannot pay it essentially. The return of investment is not justified.
Yeah.
And basically, it's hard for a business for us to to say, okay, but you get from ourselves like for $1,000 a month maybe, while the competitor would charge you a few $100,000. It's so hard to have to be really this spot.
It feels like too good to be true in a sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is.
What's the catch?
Exactly. What's the catch? What we measure from our our customers, we enable 80 to 90% of cost savings in product marketing analytics for the segments that you are targeting with large data sets. So of course, for some companies, we wouldn't be cost saving. For low volume data sets, we would be actually more expensive. But I would say, so this is the selling point. This is why companies come to us.
Yeah.
Obviously, large enterprises would go for like 200 seats. It
Right.
wouldn't be cheap, but how I see there is this like a chart, what I should roll at one point, like how much data you need to have to justify the cost of switch. And there's like, if you reach like 80% cost savings, then you should just definitely switch.
Very cool. I
So
like
actually,
I like the self-service angle to that because obviously like you're encouraging people to invite other folks from the team. That increases the number of seats. I feel like this is by far like the strongest argument. Like if I was like managing that Martech budget and internally, like we had a ton of things on our roadmap, blah, blah, blah. But I came to the table and I said like, hey, we have billions of events in our CDP and in our product analytics tool right now. This is how much we're paying per month. We could cut our cost by 90% by switching to a warehouse native solution. Like that would turn like eyes would just be like, wait, what? Like this is too good to be true. Like and so like I could champion this and explain it, and we could easily get that on the roadmap. Like if it came with 90% cost savings, because then we could use that money for a bunch of other stuff. Like our ads team would be really pumped if we like shaved all of those costs. So yeah, I feel like we're riffing on product market stuff for your audience here too. But it is one of the most exciting parts of this for sure, because like one of the bane of the existence of marketing operations people is integrations and APIs and connecting data between all of these different systems. And now we have a central repository. And it's funny because like you're working off of this assumption that customers have a data warehouse, and also that customers see the data warehouse as the source of truth, and that marketers also see it as the source of truth. And that's where like there's some disconnect in the space. My co-host Daryl, like he's put out a couple of polls. He's got a huge audience on LinkedIn, and the majority of folks still think that the CRM is the source of truth for
Yes.
marketing. And
Yes.
so we're still facing that like slow transition to waking up that the data warehouse should be the source of truth, because like you said, a lot of teams, like maybe they have one or two people managing that data warehouse and they don't care
Yes.
about marketing. And so marketing is off in their own little land. They're doing their thing in the CRM, and they're just like, data warehouse is something for engineers. Like I don't put my marketing data in there. Like I don't really care about it. So
Yes.
like that's the other uphill battle you have for warehouse native, is that like the change management process for
Oh
folks
yeah.
waking up to a better way to manage your data. But it's funny from an engineering standpoint, because like marketing data stack architecture has been around forever, and it's just taken so long for marketers to wake up to that reality.
Yeah. 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 Definitely. I mean, CRM is an interesting one. I see this that some companies have this as like a central truth. Yes. Although I consider this like a CRM tools, like a glorified Excel sheet. So you're very easy to make a mistake and you will never find it out. And in the data warehouse, it's like a slightly harder to make a mistake. And like you have to have like a job that updates the table and runs every day, and somebody review that job. And if you find a mistake if you make a mistake, that it's a mistake for 1,000 records, or like 1,000,000 or like 1 billion records even. So it's much easier to spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely it's not uphill battle. Yeah, it's evangelizing this as a solution. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. It's hard, but it's
Definitely.
exciting. And
It's-
like once folks see the cost savings and the unification potential of
Yeah.
data, there's a cool story there to tell. One of the other like exciting parts of the product is the self-service side of things. And we've chatted with different folks in the space too, like democratizing BI and allowing, like non-technical users to finally not have to know SQL and be able to
Yeah.
like query stuff and build dashboards and basically have conversation with their data. There's a lot of excitements in this space. But I wanted to ask you about like the risk of replacement for analysts. We asked this to a couple
Mhm.
different folks on the show recently. A lot of people think that it's like some of the jobs most at risk for AI disruption in the next year or two are a mix of like reporting and BI roles. Like think of analysts that are basically just on the front end of the dashboarding and the data viz side of this. And, their jobs are already getting super easier. Like NLP is changing stuff, like non-SQL experts are able to have conversations with their data. It's a category of like recommendations and pattern detection features that are, reshaping the category. There's like predictive engines. I'm less convinced here, but there's also tools like innovating in the data prep and the modeling,
Mhm.
automation, and cleaning, integration. What are your thoughts here? Like, are
Yes.
analysts that are just building reports and going to marketing and saying like, "Hey, what dashboard do you need this month?" Like, are those folks up for replacement? What should they be doing differently?
Okay, this is a good topic. I like it as well. I'm a big believer in AI. Honestly, I like AI tools. I use them daily basis on a daily basis. I use Cursor if I need to do some code or whatever, like some script. I use ChatGPT for marketing stuff, like a blog post a lot. So it's I really believe in it. It improved our lives. With that said, I'm also this believer in like it will replace current, like in the next couple of years, like any role significantly. Let's put it significantly. I mean, it might replace some people. You might get like less people hired in software or less people hired in data, but I wouldn't say that you will have a future where there is no data engineers, no data analysts, there is no software engineers because of AI.
Hmm.
In the data analytics, I think it's even more critical to have trustability than, let's say, software engineering. I would say, because imagine you are in a meeting with the like investors or board meeting or something like that, and there's a question popping up. Whatever, how many sales I don't know items we had like last month, and you type it in the chat box, and like the chat box, and like some number come up, and it's like, okay, do we trust this? Did it
Mhm.
hallucinate something? Actually, I have a really good Turing test. Let's go to Turing test. Ask the AI the same question twice. If it gives you back the same answer, that's most likely okay. For me, I'm still, even with GPT, very new models, very often get for the same question 2 different answers. In the if I for example ask like a SQL type of question, like how would you solve this in this data warehouse? This is my data, this is my table. How would you calculate something? And it often still creates syntax errors.
Yeah.
So it is getting there, but it's not there yet. So I would use it as an enhancement to your productivity in every aspect, in every domain, data analytics, software engineering, marketing. So I wouldn't trust a chatbot to write like a blog post entirely. I would use it to like enhance my let's say mediocre English. This I use very often. So like, I write it down. I have like a couple of ideas. I just put like bullet points. It writes an amazing like paragraph. But it actually, I'm still the idea owner. What should go there? So same goes for data. I would say you should know what you are doing, and you should use AI to speed yourself up, essentially enhance or improve your performance.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely agree there. I'm like both super surprised and impressed sometimes. I have both a subscription with Claude and OpenAI, and I often like will ask the same question to both, and sometimes they're very similar, sometimes completely different.
Yes.
One is super helpful, the other one's useless, and they kind of like trade places there. But yeah, sometimes it's super impressive. Sometimes it's just like, really, like you weren't helpful to me at all. Like I was just troubleshooting a templating language issue with a client the other day, and they were building liquid code templating language to personalize an email, and the token kept breaking. We couldn't figure out why, and we threw it in GPT and both Claude, and we're just like, here's our syntax, here's like our fields, why is this breaking? And it took like 10 iterations of back and forth. Still doesn't work. Try this. Still doesn't work. Try this. And they didn't get it. They couldn't figure it out. Sometimes they do, but yeah, it is like moving super, super fast. But yeah, I was curious to get your take on the analyst stuff specifically, because I know you're in the space and there has been a lot of cool excitement there. Like I was just researching a tool that ThoughtSpot was using. I forget the name of it, but it's essentially like you have a chatbot experience. Like it's an LLM, they built it, it's proprietary, and it sits on top of your data warehouse. And
Yes.
you literally have a conversation with your data, and you can also say like, hey, like this query that I just said, like turn that into a SQL syntax. And
Yes.
so like that's been changing super fast. And yeah, I don't know, it's exciting and also
I think everybody is coming up with this text to SQL
yeah.
solution. I have a quite strong opinion about that. SQL, the language itself, is a bit too granular, like fine-grained, to be supported by like an LLM. I'll give you another example, like for coding. Let's say imagine vibe coding. If the LLM writes every single line of code, you are really, really easily getting into like a trouble that you are not able to get out.
Yeah.
But there are coming tools that, like, there are some tools that are not using the line of code as a block of like unit of that LLM can generate, but some kind of bigger code blocks. So like this is definitely must be here in this application. Let's say authentication piece. You don't need to reinvent as an LLM every time you write an application, the authentication piece. It's already done. It's like a solved problem. Or like Stripe integration, or like, I don't know, integration to your whatever type of like database or something. It is solved already. You have a lot of snippets on GitHub that you can just copy paste. Problem with these LLMs, they are not copy pasting solved solutions. They are kind of, I would say, reimagining it with their hallucinations. And it's always different. And I would say the same goes for data analytics, that there are certain blocks of SQL code that you don't need to reinvent. I give you an example, like for product marketing analytics, calculating a funnel, it should look like roughly the same in every company. It's not black magic. You have like, either you do a join, or there is like another way to do with window functions. Each has some pros and cons. But the funnel calculation in SQL is like there's two ways to do it essentially, and you shouldn't reinvent the wheel as an LLM. So you should just take this block. There is some placeholders you plug in, and just execute that block. So what we are trying to build in the future is we are embracing AI to the application as well, but we are not going to reinvent writing the SQL code. We believe that these blocks of SQLs are they're solved. The AI should just pick these blocks up and stitch them together, and therefore there will be much less space for error. That's my way of think of AI, especially for us in the application.
Very cool. Got a couple last questions for you. We're getting close on time, but I wanted to get your take on if you were to give advice to marketing operations folks, data professionals that work with marketing teams in the next 3-5 years, what are a couple of things that they should be doing to prepare for this future of AI, displacement or innovation there? They're learning resources, or maybe you'll say everyone should still learn SQL and not rely too much on text to SQL technology there, but what comes to mind? How should folks future proof their careers?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know the future. I would say to have a good understanding of the fundamentals is crucial still. What I don't like, especially with employees and hiring, is if you hire a junior person, it's very often that they will turn to AI with much bigger confidence than they should, and they essentially they don't use their time to understand the fundamentals. I would go the other way. I would, in the first years of your career or something, you should use AI to understand how it works and learn it and see the limitations. But if you are not familiar with the fundamentals of marketing and anything essentially software development, data analytics, I don't think it's then you're going to be replaced most likely by the AI. That's what the bottom line here. Yeah, because as a human, your power is coming from talking to other humans in a language that both of you understand. And if you don't have a fundamentally baseline for talking, then basically you cannot function in a company, in an organization. Yeah. So you could be replaced by the AI. In that case,
Yeah, great advice, István. This has been super fun conversation. Really appreciate your time. Got one last question for you. You're a founder, CEO, marketing analytics leader. You're also a dad and play a lot of Legos with your son. One question we ask everyone on the show is how do you remain happy and successful in your career, building, running a company, but also having a young family? How do you find balance between all the things you're working on while staying happy?
Yes. So in my free time, I spend all my time with my kid and my family. It's a great time now because he's 3 years old. It's good to be there. So I play with the Lego with him, which is great. Keeping the sanity is hard at work, definitely. Being a founder is, oh my God, this is a huge challenge, definitely. Previously, I was an individual contributor in many, many companies. And you are used to a lifestyle that basically you don't have responsibility besides your line of work that you do work every day.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's 180-degree turn. I have a lot of sleepless nights during this building company and decisions, judgment calls.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a huge one. The good thing is that I feel it is less and less stressful to have a judgment call. Sometimes to an extent that I stop worrying about things that I should worry about. That's interesting. That's a different experience. I don't know, let's buy a car. I recently bought a car. I checked one out. Okay, this is good. I take it there. While I was
not worth my energy anymore.
Exactly. I had half an hour for this project. Okay, fine. Sold.
Yeah.
Previously, it would have taken half a year to find a good one with a correct price and good parameters. And now I just don't care anymore about significant decisions in your life, which is amazing. By the way, at home I get a lot of negative comments about this even from my wife. Fine. The main thing that makes me happy at work is like seeing customers coming in. That's amazing. It's like as an IC, selling a software, individual contributor previously, now selling software to companies that are like way above our like league. Like we are punching up a lot.
Yeah.
And we still close deals with companies that are like 100 times bigger than us, 100 times bigger than us. And they, I think, squint when they look at our LinkedIn page and like, okay, let's close this LinkedIn page. They're like, I don't believe there are only 3 people or 6 people or, let's close it. And they still didn't sign with us, which is an amazing feeling. And there's something also I have to learn that if you come from the IC background, you are like serving others in the company, and your goal is to help them as much as possible. Being a sales founder, CEO type of personality, the goal is to maximize gross revenue, whatever metric that you're looking for in the startup. That mindset has to be changed, and I'm changing that as well. Like I'm more and more bold in asking a bigger deal when I'm doing the sales calls. But if it happens, it's like ultimately makes me super happy and like excited about it. If it doesn't happen, it's like then it goes down very much.
Yeah. It's hard not to be emotionally invested on the sales side. When there's like peaks, you're like it's so good and you're feeling so great. And when there's dips and valleys, it's like rethinking your whole like mission statement, and you're just like, oh man, like I was really hoping that one was gonna close and it didn't work out. It's like, do we need to rethink this or that? But yeah, I like your stand of just like spending your whole free time. Like we were chatting before, I was like, well, what other hobbies do you have going on and stuff? And you're just like, I don't have hobbies. Like I play with my kid and my family all the free time that I have, and I love that.
That's it. One last thought about this happiness part. Like, for other founders who are listening, maybe like definitely get a co-founder if you can, just to have a shoulder to cry on. It's like I have my founder friends that we come together often, like in a coffee or something, and just complaining about life. And it's absolute
like group therapy for founders. Love it. Awesome. It's been super fun, István. Thank you so much for your time. We'll link out to Mitsu. Folks can check it out if they're curious. Hopefully this conversation got folks interested and curious about the warehouse and data space. I'm really bullish on it. Obviously you guys are, and really appreciate your time and congrats on what you've built so far. Excited to see the growth.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here.
The #1 conference for marketing ops and revenue ops professionals is back again this year. Block off your calendars from October 27th to the 29th in Anaheim, California. Grab your tickets at mopsapalooza.com while you enjoy some of the highlights from last year.
This event is legit.
Mopsapalooza is different because it's a practitioner's event.
Everybody learns from each other.
It's not a bunch of sales pitches.
This is the users community.
This year, we had over 300 submissions to speak. The sessions were selected and voted on by every single one of you. Marketing ops isn't just marketing. It's about so much more than that.
It's about getting inspired by each other to drive impactful change.
And when MoPros are fully aligned with broader business goals, we become the true driver of growth.
It is going to be an exciting few years ahead, and I really do believe that marketing ops is going to be at the absolute center of this.
See what's going on in the industry. You want to be on top of your game, this is the conference to come to.
It's the place to be. It's easily the best conference that you're going to go to all year.
Community is completely next level.